Imagine your daughter disappears into the Kentucky wilderness. No phone, no police, no search and rescue, just miles of forest. And the knowledge that every minute she's getting farther away. That wasn't just someone's nightmare. It was Daniel Boone's actual life. On July 14th, 1776, 3 girls disappeared into the Kentucky wilderness, and one of them was Daniel's daughter, Jemima. For the next 2 days, nothing mattered more than bringing her home. You know, I spent a good part of my life learning how to follow people through the woods, track critters, follow sign, learn how to read tracks. I have spent countless hours trying to better understand how experienced woodsmen read the land. Because of that, I just can't get this story out of my mind. It's not because it's about Daniel Boone. It's because it's about a father trying to bring his daughter home. You know, history remembers Daniel Boone as a frontiersman, an explorer, and a woodsman. But for the 2 days that follow them being missing, those titles didn't mean much of anything, except one, and that is father. Because Boone was going after his little girl. Word spread quickly through Boonesborough. The girls had been taken by a Cherokee Shawnee raiding party moving north through the Kentucky wilderness. Boone gathered a small group of experienced woodsmen and set out almost immediately. And let's not forget, they weren't walking along some marked trail. They were pushing through the July heat, like today. They were going through cane, crossing creeks, going through head-high grass, climbing wooded ridges, and always knowing that every hour gave the captors a little more distance. Among them were John Floyd, Samuel Henderson, Fanny Callaway, John Holder, and William Bailey Smith, and several other experienced frontiersmen. Every hour mattered because the time and distance gap was increasing between them and the girls. Every rocky hillside they had to cover, every creek they had to go through, made the trail even harder. But here's the part almost everybody gets wrong. People picture Daniel Boone following one perfect line of tracks. That's not how tracking works. A trail isn't one thing, it's hundreds, sometimes thousands of tiny clues. A broken twig, freshly crushed leaves, a bent blade of grass, a scuff on a rock, something just slightly out of place. The woods are always telling a story. You simply have to learn how to read it. The farther north the raiding party took them, the harder their sign got to follow. Every grassy field made it difficult to track through. Rocky ground would have left almost nothing behind. Dense forest and cane fields would have made it incredibly difficult to track through. But here's something a good tracker knows. Eventually, tracking isn't about tracks. It's about the people. You get in their head thinking about where would they camp? How would they travel? Where would they get water? Daniel Boone wasn't just simply following sign. He was trying to think like the people he was pursuing. And in my opinion, that's what separates a good tracker from a great tracker. There comes a point in every difficult track when you begin to wonder if you've lost it, if you've gone too far, if you're even on the right trail anymore. Every tracker has experienced that feeling. And I can tell you right now that Boone and his men felt that exact feeling, but they kept moving one observation at a time. After 2 days of some hard tracking, as the sun was getting ready to set, the trackers and the scouts found the girls at an encampment. They were staked down so they couldn't run away, but they were alive. So the rescue party, they just stayed there for the night and watched and observed, waiting for the moment of daybreak. And when it did, the first shot that rang out, Jemima is quoted as saying, "That's Daddy's gun." This brief attack occurred. Some of the captors fled. The girls were unharmed for the most part, just slightly injured, and they left with the men to go back to Boonesborough. You know, I have to admit, I thought about that a lot. Thought about what was going through Boone's mind, not as a historical figure, not as a woodsman, not as a tracker, but as a father, seeing his girl alive when he thought there was a good chance she was probably dead. But the story doesn't end with the rescue. There's one other chapter that goes right along with it. One of the men helping search for the girls wasn't simply rescuing a member of his community. Samuel Henderson was searching for the woman he was already planning to marry. Only a few weeks after the rescue, he married Betsey Callaway at Boonesborough. And that's not all that happened. Fanny Callaway, one of the rescuers, married Jemima Boone. And John Holder, another member of the rescue party, married Fanny Callaway. 3 young women disappeared in the Kentucky wilderness, and 3 men helped bring them back home. And their lives were forever connected because of it. Sometimes history is remembered because of battles. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's because of politics. And sometimes real people live through extraordinary moments together and it changes them forever. You know, I've read a lot about Daniel Boone through the years, and I'm telling you, I've spent thousands of hours on a track line, studying sign and learning from some of the greatest trackers in the world. But this story This story right here has stuck in my mind for one very primary reason. It's not because it's about Daniel Boone. It's not because it's one of the greatest rescue stories in Kentucky history. It's because it reminds me what tracking really is. Tracking isn't just about tracks. Tracking is about observation. It's about understanding people. It's about understanding the land. And it's about refusing to quit when someone is depending upon you. When history remembers Daniel Boone, it talks about him being a frontiersman and explorer, there's something about this story that really stands out to me. I remember a father actually, walking through these woods by this river, hunting for his daughter and bringing her home. 250 years later, these woods and this river, they still have stories to tell. I'm glad we haven't forgot this one, because the best classroom has no walls.